I'm standing in my childhood bedroom, diploma in hand, listening to my parents through the heating vent as they discuss how to convince me to give my inheritance to my sister. She doesn't need it, my mother says. She has that job offer. Veronica needs it more. We'll tell her it's what Grandma Ruth would have wanted, my father adds. Family first. Grandma Ruth left me $175,000 in her will. She died 3 months ago. And my parents think I don't know, they're planning to steal it. But here's the thing. I've been listening through this vent since I was 12 years old. I've heard every conversation they thought was private. Every discussion about how Veronica needed more support. Every decision to give her what should have been mine. And this time, I was ready. My name is Elena. I'm 22 years old, and I just graduated summa cum laude from a state university with a degree in accounting and a job offer at a Big Four firm, starting at $68,000 a year. I did this while working 25 hours a week, maintaining a 3.94 GPA, and paying for 70% of my education myself through scholarships and part-time work. My sister Veronica is 25. She has a bachelor's degree in communications from a private college that cost my parents $160,000. She's currently between jobs and living at home for the third time in 4 years. But according to my parents, she's the one who needs help. She's the one who deserves support. She's the one they've spent my entire life prioritizing, while I existed somewhere in their peripheral vision, useful when needed, but never quite worth celebrating. Except Grandma Ruth saw it differently, and her will made that very clear. Let me back up, because this moment, this graduation, this inheritance, this plan, it was the culmination of 22 years of being the spare daughter in a family that only had room for one star. Veronica was born when I was 3. I don't remember much from before she arrived, but I remember after. Suddenly, every conversation in our house revolved around Veronica. Veronica's milestones, Veronica's needs, Veronica's tantrums, which happened frequently and loudly. I learned early to be quiet, to not ask for things, to take care of myself, because everyone else was busy taking care of Veronica. When I was 7, I taught myself to read chapter books, because Veronica was having trouble with basic sight words, and my parents spent every evening drilling her. When I was 9, I learned to make my own school lunches, because my mom was too stressed dealing with Veronica's selective eating to remember mine. When I was 12, I started doing my own laundry, because Veronica had another meltdown, and my parents didn't have the energy to deal with household tasks. I'm not exaggerating when I say I raised myself. My parents were physically present, but emotionally, they were completely absorbed in Veronica's drama. And there was always drama. Always some crisis. Always some reason why Veronica needed extra attention, extra money, extra grace. In middle school, Veronica struggled socially. My parents put her in social skills groups, hired a counselor, changed her to a private school that cost $20,000 a year. I went to public school and figured out friendships on my own. In high school, Veronica wanted to be a cheerleader but didn't make the squad. My parents complained to the school, accused the coach of bias, and ultimately paid for private cheer coaching. Veronica made the squad the next year, and my parents threw her a celebration party. I made the math team, the honor roll, and the National Honor Society. My parents said, "That's nice," and asked if I could help Veronica with her algebra homework. The disparity was so consistent that I started documenting it. Not consciously at first, just keeping a journal where I'd write about my day. But over time, a pattern emerged on those pages. After achievement on my part, met with minimal response. After setback on Veronica's part, met with extraordinary intervention. When I got my acceptance letter to university with a significant scholarship, I ran downstairs excited to share the news. My parents were in the kitchen with Veronica, who was crying because she'd gotten a C on a history test. I stood there holding my acceptance letter while they comforted her. told her it was okay, that 1C didn't matter, that she was still smart and capable. After 20 minutes, I said, "I got into university." My mom glanced up. "That's wonderful, honey. Can we talk about it later? Veronica's having a rough day." I went back to my room and cried into my pillow. Later, my dad knocked on my door and asked about the acceptance letter. I showed him the scholarship details, $45,000 over 4 years, plus a small stipend for books. "That's great," he said. "That'll really help with costs. We've been worried about how to pay for 2 kids in college." 2 weeks later, Veronica got accepted to a private liberal arts college. Tuition, $40,000 a year. My parents threw her a graduation party with 100 people, a caterer, and a DJ. For my high school graduation, we went to dinner at Olive Garden, just the 4 of us. My parents spent most of the meal talking about how excited they were for Veronica's college experience, but it was my grandmother, my mom's mother, Ruth, who saw everything, who had been watching this dynamic play out for years, who called me the night after my high school graduation to congratulate me properly. "Your parents are fools," she said bluntly. Grandma Ruth had never been one for sugarcoating. They're so focused on propping Veronica up that they don't see the amazing daughter they have in you. "It's okay, Grandma," I said, even though it wasn't. "It's not okay. And I want you to know something, Elena. I see you. I see how hard you work. I see how responsible you are. I see everything you accomplish without anyone's help. And I'm proud of you." I cried again, but these were different tears. "Keep being you," she said. "Keep working hard. Keep building your life. Your parents will figure it out eventually. And if they don't, well, that's their loss." Grandma Ruth was the only person in my family who treated me like I mattered as much as Veronica. She came to my school events when my parents were too busy with Veronica's activities. She called me every week to ask about my life. Actually ask. Actually listen. She sent me money for my birthday that she specifically told me not to tell my parents about because she knew they'd make me share it with Veronica. "This is for you," she'd write in the cards. "For being you. Love, Grandma Ruth." Those birthday checks, $100 every year, were the only money I ever received from family that came without strings attached. I saved most of them. By the time I graduated high school, I had $1,200 in a savings account from Grandma Ruth's birthday money alone. During college, I saw my parents maybe once a semester. They'd visit campus, take me to lunch, ask surface-level questions about my classes. Then they'd drive the 40 minutes to Veronica's private college and spend the weekend there, helping her with laundry and buying her groceries and taking her and her friends out to dinner. I worked in the campus library 25 hours a week. I budgeted every dollar. I ate ramen more often than I care to remember. I studied while other kids partied because I couldn't afford to fail a single class. My scholarship required maintaining a 3.5 GPA. Veronica joined a sorority. My parents paid the fees, $1,500 a semester. She went on spring break trips to Cancun and Miami. She posted photos on Instagram of beach clubs and boat parties. My parents commented on every photo. "Having the time of your life. So happy for you." I spent spring breaks working extra shifts at the library and catching up on coursework. When Veronica struggled academically, which she did frequently, my parents hired tutors. When she wanted to study abroad in Spain for a semester, they paid the extra costs. When she crashed the car they'd bought her freshman year, they bought her another one. I took the bus. I studied alone in my dorm room. When I struggled with organic chemistry, I went to free tutoring sessions and formed study groups with other scholarship students who couldn't afford paid help. My parents called Veronica 3 times a week. They called me maybe once a month, usually to ask if I'd heard from Veronica, because she wasn't answering their calls. But Grandma Ruth called me every Sunday, without fail. We'd talk for an hour about my classes, my job, my friends, my life. She remembered details. She asked follow-up questions. She made me feel like someone cared about the person I was becoming. "How are your parents?" she'd ask sometimes, her tone careful. "They're fine," I'd say. "And Veronica?" "Still figuring things out." Grandma Ruth would sigh. "Your mother has always been too soft on her, ever since she was a baby. I tried to tell her, you can't save your children from every difficulty. They have to learn to handle hard things." But she didn't listen. "I turned out okay," I'd say. "You turned out better than okay," Grandma Ruth would correct. "You turned out exceptional, and you did it despite them, not because of them." Those conversations sustained me through 4 years of being overlooked. 4 years of watching my achievements go uncelebrated, while Veronica's mediocrity got applause. 4 years of knowing I was on my own, but having one person who validated that I was doing something remarkable anyway. Grandma Ruth died suddenly last December, 3 months before my graduation. Heart attack. She was 79 and had been healthy and active until the day she collapsed in her kitchen. I was in the middle of final exams when my mom called. I could hear her crying before she said anything. "It's Grandma," she managed. "She's gone." I dropped my phone. My roommate caught me as my legs gave out. The grief hit like a physical blow, sudden, sharp, completely disorienting. Grandma Ruth was gone. The one person who saw me, the one person who valued me, gone. I flew home the next day. My parents picked me up from the airport. Veronica was in the car, crying dramatically. My mom was crying too. My dad looked hollow. I sat in the back seat next to Veronica and felt nothing but emptiness. Not just grief, though the grief was enormous, but the loneliness of knowing I'd lost my only real advocate in this family. The funeral was 2 days later. I gave a eulogy about how Grandma Ruth had been a light in my life, how she'd taught me the value of resilience and independence, how she'd showed up for me in ways that mattered. My mom cried through the whole thing. Veronica sobbed loudly. My dad held them both. Nobody held me. I stood at the podium, spoke about the woman who'd loved me unconditionally, and walked back to my seat, alone. After the funeral, the family gathered at my parents' house. Grandma Ruth's lawyer, Mr. Chen, was there. He'd asked that all immediate family stay after other guests left because he needed to discuss the will. I assumed there wouldn't be much. Grandma Ruth lived modestly, carefully. She had her house, her savings, her personal possessions. She'd talked about estate planning sometimes, but I'd never asked for details. It felt inappropriate. When the house cleared out, Mr. Chen opened his briefcase. My parents sat on the couch. Veronica was beside them, still dabbing at her eyes with tissues. I sat in the armchair across from them, separate. "Ruth Morgan's will is straightforward," Mr. Chen began. "She updated it last year to ensure her wishes were clearly documented." He pulled out papers, started reading. The house would be sold, proceeds split between her 3 children, my mom and her 2 siblings. Personal possessions divided among family, as detailed in a separate list. Savings and investments, roughly $200,000, distributed according to specific instructions. My parents leaned forward. This was more money than any of us had expected. "To my daughter, Catherine," Mr. Chen read, looking at my mom. "I leave $20,000, with the hope that she will use it wisely and finally learn to say no to her youngest daughter." My mom gasped. My dad's eyebrows shot up. Veronica looked confused. "To my son-in-law, Michael," he continued, "I leave nothing, as he has enabled the favoritism that has damaged this family." My dad's face went red. To my granddaughter Veronica, I leave $5,000 and this message. You have been given every advantage and squandered most of them. This money is to be used for therapy to address why you believe the world owes you more than you've earned. Veronica started crying again. Real tears this time, not performance. That's so mean, she whispered. Mr. Chen kept reading. To my granddaughter Elena, I leave the remainder of my estate, approximately $175,000, along with my jewelry collection, my complete set of first edition books, and my blessing to live a life free from the burden of family members who don't value her. The room went completely silent. $175,000. To me. Only me. Mr. Chen looked up. The will is ironclad. Ruth had it reviewed by multiple attorneys to ensure there would be no successful challenges. The money is held in a trust that releases to Elena upon her college graduation. My graduation, which was in 3 months. This is outrageous, my mother said, finding her voice. Mother was clearly not in her right mind. Mrs. Morgan, I can assure you Ruth was completely competent when she updated this will. I have medical documentation of her soundness of mind signed by 2 physicians. There's also a video recording of her explaining her decisions, if you'd like to see it. Yes, my dad said tersely. We would. Mr. Chen pulled out a tablet and pulled up a video file. Grandma Ruth appeared on screen, sitting in what looked like Mr. Chen's office. The timestamp showed it was from March of last year, almost 2 years ago. If you're watching this, Grandma Ruth said on the video, looking directly at the camera, it means I've passed, and you're all hearing my will for the first time. Catherine, Michael, Veronica, I imagine you're upset about the distribution of my assets. Let me explain. She folded her hands in her lap. I've watched you raise 2 daughters very differently. Elena has been overlooked, underfunded, and underappreciated her entire life, while you've poured everything into Veronica. You paid for Veronica's private education, while Elena attended public school. You paid for Veronica's expensive college, while giving Elena minimal support. You've bailed Veronica out of every difficulty, while leaving Elena to solve her own problems. My mom was crying again. My dad looked like he wanted to argue, but couldn't because he was arguing with a video. Elena has thrived despite your neglect. She's worked hard, achieved remarkable things, and done it all without the support you've given Veronica freely. Meanwhile, Veronica has had every advantage and accomplished very little. She's 23 years old. The video was from before Veronica's birthday and has never held a full-time job. She lives off your generosity, with no apparent intention of becoming self-sufficient. Veronica made a strangled sound. This inheritance is my way of balancing the scales, Grandma Ruth continued. Elena deserves financial security as she starts her adult life. She deserves recognition for everything she's accomplished. And she deserves to know that someone in this family saw her worth. She looked directly into the camera. Elena, if you're watching this, know that I'm so proud of you. Use this money to build the life you want. Don't let anyone, including your parents, guilt you into giving it away. This is yours. You earned it simply by being the remarkable young woman you are. The video ended. The room stayed quiet. Then, my mother spoke. Elena, sweetheart, I know this seems like a lot of money, but you have to understand. Your grandmother was hurt that we couldn't visit her as often as she wanted. She was taking that hurt out on us. She didn't mean for things to be this unequal. I stared at her. Unequal? You got $175,000. Veronica got $5,000. That's not fair. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You paid $160,000 for Veronica's college. You gave me nothing. We gave you $5,000 a year, $20,000 total over 4 years. Veronica got $160,000. That's a difference of $140,000. Grandma Ruth's will doesn't even bring us to equal. It just makes the disparity slightly less obscene. My dad jumped in. Elena, you don't understand. Veronica needs help right now. She's struggling. She's struggling because you've never made her stand on her own, I said. And you want me to enable that too? You want me to give up my inheritance so Veronica can continue avoiding responsibility? We're family, my mom said desperately. Family helps each other. I've been helping, I said quietly. I've been helping by not asking for anything, by not burdening you with my needs, by being independent so you could focus all your energy on Veronica. I've helped by making myself invisible. That's not true. It is true, I interrupted. And Grandma Ruth saw it. She documented it. She left me this money because she knew you'd never treat me fairly. And now you're proving her right by asking me to give it to Veronica. I stood up. Mr. Chen, what do I need to do to ensure the inheritance is protected? The trust is already established, he said. Upon your graduation, funds will transfer to an account in your name alone. No one else can access them or make claims against them. Good, I said. I looked at my parents. I'm going back to school. I have finals to finish. Elena, wait, my mom started. No, I said. I'm done waiting. I'm done being quiet. I'm done making myself small so Veronica can be big. Grandma Ruth left me this money, and I'm keeping it. All of it. I left, drove back to campus, finished my exams in a daze, and waited for the inevitable. The calls started 2 days later. My mom first, crying, begging me to reconsider. Then my dad, angry, telling me I was being selfish. Then Veronica herself, furious that I'd stolen her inheritance. I didn't answer any of them. I let every call go to voicemail. I read the texts without responding. I was done engaging with their manufactured guilt. But here's what they didn't know. I'd been preparing for this for weeks. Because I knew my parents. I knew they wouldn't accept Grandma Ruth's will without a fight. I knew they'd tried to manipulate me into giving the money to Veronica. So I'd taken steps. 3 weeks before Grandma Ruth died, she'd sent me a long, handwritten letter explaining everything she was planning to do with her will and why. She told me about the inheritance, about the amounts, about her hope that it would help me build a life free from family obligations. Your parents will try to take this from you, she wrote. They'll use guilt, manipulation, anger, whatever works. They'll tell you it's not fair, that Veronica needs it more, that I was being spiteful. Don't believe them. This money is yours because you earned it through years of being overlooked and undervalued. Stand firm, Elena. Don't let them take this from you too. I'd kept that letter, scanned it, saved digital copies in 3 separate locations. I'd also started documenting every financial disparity I could verify. I requested my university financial aid records showing how much my parents had contributed, $20,000 over 4 years. I got copies of Veronica's college bills from my dad's email. He'd forwarded them to me once by accident, showing the full cost. I saved screenshots of Venmo transactions where my parents sent Veronica money for emergencies. I built a spreadsheet, line by line, year by year, showing the financial favoritism. Conservative estimates put the difference at over $200,000 across our lifetimes. Then I did something that felt vindictive but necessary. I compiled it all into a document, every email where my parents forgot an important event of mine while remembering Veronica's, every photo album showing the lavish parties for Veronica versus the modest acknowledgments for me, every financial record proving the disparity. I called it Evidence of Favoritism, 1999 to 2021, and I saved it in a password-protected folder because I knew the fight was coming, and I was ready. Graduation was in May, 3 months after Grandma Ruth's funeral. 3 months of my parents calling, texting, showing up at my apartment unannounced to talk. I stayed firm. Polite, but firm. The money is mine. Grandma Ruth left it to me. I'm keeping it. 2 weeks before graduation, my mom tried a new approach. She came to my apartment with Veronica. I made the mistake of letting them in. "We need to talk about your future," my mom said, settling onto my secondhand couch. "Okay," I said cautiously. "You have that job offer in the city. $68,000 a year, right? That's good money. You'll be fine financially. But, Veronica," she trailed off significantly. Veronica jumped in, clearly coached. "I know I've struggled. I know I've made mistakes. But, Elena, I'm really trying to turn things around. I want to go back to school for a master's in social work. I think I'd be really good at helping people." A master's program. Of course. Another way to avoid getting a real job while accumulating more debt for our parents to pay. "That sounds like a good goal," I said neutrally. "The program costs $40,000, Veronica continued. "Mom and Dad have already helped me so much, and I feel terrible asking them for more. But if you could help, just as a loan, I'd pay you back. It would mean everything." There it was. Not even a request for a portion of the inheritance, a request for all of it, with the fiction that it would be a loan we all knew she'd never repay. "No," I said simply. My mom's face hardened. "Elena, be reasonable. You're going to be making good money. Veronica needs this opportunity to finally find her path." "She's 25, I said. "She's had 5 years to find her path. I'm 22 and I found mine while working 25 hours a week and maintaining a near-perfect GPA. "Not everyone is like you," Veronica snapped. "Not everyone finds things easy." "You think this was easy?" I gestured around my tiny apartment at my discount furniture, my second-hand laptop. "You think working 25 hours a week while taking a full course load was easy? You think paying for my own education was easy?" "At least you had scholarships," Veronica shot back. "I wasn't smart enough for those. I needed help. And you got it. $160,000 worth of help. How much help is enough, Veronica?" "Girls, please," my mom interrupted. "This isn't productive. Elena, I'm asking you, as your mother, as someone who loves you, to please consider helping your sister. The way you helped me?" The words were out before I could stop them. My mom looked genuinely confused. "What do you mean? We've always supported you." That's when I knew. She really believed it. She'd rewritten history in her mind so thoroughly that she genuinely thought they'd been fair. I pulled out my laptop, opened the password-protected folder, brought up the spreadsheet. "This," I said, turning the screen toward them, "is a record of every major financial gift you've given Veronica versus what you've given me over the past 10 years. My mom leaned forward. Her eyes scanned the numbers. Her face went pale. Veronica looked over her shoulder. "What is this?" "It's proof," I said. "Proof that Grandma Ruth was right. Proof that I've been financially neglected while Veronica has been financially enabled. Proof that even if I gave Veronica every cent of my inheritance, it still wouldn't equal what you've already given her. This is..." My mom couldn't finish the sentence. "Accurate," I finished for her. "Every number is verified. Bank statements, tuition bills, receipts. It's all documented." Veronica was reading through the spreadsheet, her face getting redder. "You kept track of this? That's psychotic." "No," I said calmly. "It's necessary. Because this is exactly what you're doing right now. You're asking me to give you $40,000 after you've already received over $200,000 more than me. And you're acting like I'm the selfish one for saying no." My mom stood up. "I think we should go." I think so too, I agreed. They left. Veronica slammed the door. My mom didn't look at me. I sat on my couch and shook. Not from fear or doubt, but from adrenaline. I'd drawn a line. I'd shown them the truth in black and white, and I'd refused to back down. The next 2 weeks were silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. Then graduation day arrived. I invited them. I didn't expect them to come, but I invited them anyway. Sent them the date, time, location. Told them I had extra tickets if they wanted to bring anyone. They didn't respond. My roommate's parents came. They'd basically adopted me over the past 4 years, inviting me to holidays when I couldn't afford to fly home, sending care packages during finals, celebrating my achievements. They sat in the audience and cheered when I walked across the stage to accept my summa cum laude diploma. My parents weren't there. Veronica wasn't there. But Mr. Chen was there. He met me after the ceremony, handed me an envelope. "Congratulations, Elena. Your grandmother would be so proud." Inside was a letter from Grandma Ruth, written before she died, to be given to me at graduation. "My dearest Elena," it read, "if you're reading this, you've graduated college. Congratulations, my brilliant girl. You did it all yourself, and that makes it so much more meaningful. The trust funds released to you today. Use them wisely. Invest some, save some, enjoy some. Build a life that's entirely yours, free from the expectations and manipulations of people who never saw your worth. I'm so proud of you. All my love, Grandma Ruth." I cried right there in my cap and gown, while my roommate's parents hugged me. The money hit my account the next day. $175,000. More money than I'd ever seen in my life. I immediately did 3 things. First, I paid off my student loans in full, all $32,000. Second, I put $20,000 into a high-yield savings account as an emergency fund. Third, I scheduled a meeting with a financial advisor to invest the rest. Then I called my parents. My dad answered. "Elena, I just wanted you to know that the inheritance came through. All of it, just like Grandma Ruth intended." Silence on the other end. "I'm keeping it. I'm using it to build my life, pay off my loans, save for retirement, maybe put a down payment on a place someday. None of it is going to Veronica." "Elena, please. I also wanted to tell you that I'm moving to the city next week to start my job. I won't be coming home for a while, maybe a long while. I need distance from all of you." "You're punishing us," my dad said quietly. "No," I corrected. "I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. You've spent my entire life putting Veronica first. You can continue to do that, but I won't be part of it anymore. We love you." "You love me in the abstract," I said. "You love the idea of me, the capable daughter who doesn't need anything. But you've never loved me enough to actually see me, to celebrate me, to support me the way you've supported Veronica. That's not fair." "It's completely fair, and it's true. Grandma Ruth knew it, I know it, and deep down, you know it too." I hung up before he could respond. I moved to the city the following week, started my job, threw myself into work, into building a new life in a new place where nobody knew me as Veronica's sister or the forgotten daughter. My new apartment was small but mine. I furnished it slowly, carefully, with things I actually liked instead of whatever was cheapest. I joined a gym, made friends with coworkers, started therapy to process 22 years of family dysfunction. The therapist was validating in ways I didn't expect. "What they did was emotional neglect," she explained. "Not providing for basic physical needs is one form of neglect. Not providing emotional support and validation is another. You experienced the second kind. It helped to have a name for it, to understand that I wasn't crazy or too sensitive, that my parents' favoritism had been real and damaging. 3 months into my new job, I got an email from my mom. Subject line, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won. "Elena," it read, "your father and I have been in therapy. The therapist has helped us understand some things about how we raised you and Veronica. She suggested we watch your grandmother's video again, really listen to what she was saying. We did, and we finally heard her. We finally saw what we've been doing to you for your entire life. I am so sorry. I know words aren't enough. I know we can't undo 22 years of making you feel invisible, but I wanted you to know that we finally see it. We finally see you. We finally understand what Grandma Ruth was trying to tell us. If you're willing, we'd like to try to rebuild our relationship. On your terms. At your pace. We love you. And we're sorry we never showed it properly, Mom." I read the email 3 times. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to send back my spreadsheet with a note saying, "Too little, too late." But part of me, the part that still wanted parents, that still hoped maybe things could be different, that part made me respond. "Thank you for apologizing. I'm not ready to see you yet. Maybe someday. For now, I need you to work on yourselves and on Veronica. Stop enabling her. Make her stand on her own. Do the hard work of actually parenting instead of just rescuing. If you can do that, really do that, not just try for a few weeks before falling back into old patterns, then maybe we can talk. Elena." I didn't hear back for 2 weeks. Then, another email from my mom. "Veronica got a full-time job. She's paying us rent. She's in therapy too. We're all trying. That's all I wanted you to know. Small steps. Maybe real ones. Maybe performative. Time would tell." It's been a year now since graduation. A year since the inheritance. A year since I walked away from my family's dysfunction and started building something new. I've been promoted at work. I've saved aggressively. I've invested wisely. The inheritance that started at $175,000 is now worth nearly $100,000, thanks to smart investing and market growth. I bought a condo 6 months ago. Nothing massive, but it's mine. 2 bedrooms, updated kitchen, in a neighborhood I love. When I closed on it, I thought about Grandma Ruth, about how she'd given me this foundation, how her money had literally built me a home. My relationship with my parents is still distant. We email occasionally. They came to visit my condo last month, first time I'd seen them in a year. It was awkward, but not hostile. They asked about my life. They listened. They didn't mention Veronica unless I asked first. It's progress. Slow, uncertain progress, but progress. Veronica and I haven't spoken. She sent me a Facebook message 6 months ago. "I'm sorry I expected you to bail me out. I'm working on taking responsibility for myself." I didn't respond, but I didn't block her either. What I've learned from all of this is that inheritance isn't just about money. It's about validation. It's about someone seeing your worth and putting their money where their mouth is. It's about having a tangible, undeniable proof that you mattered to someone. Grandma Ruth gave me that. She gave me financial security, yes, but more than that, she gave me permission to value myself. She gave me proof that I wasn't crazy for feeling overlooked. She gave me documentation that someone in my family saw me completely and loved me unconditionally. And she gave me a plan, even if she didn't know I'd need one. Because her will wasn't just about distributing money. It was about forcing my family to see the truth. About making the favoritism so obvious it couldn't be denied. About giving me leverage to finally stand up and say no. My parents tried to steal my inheritance from my sister. They tried to guilt me, manipulate me, Convince me that family means sacrificing yourself for people who've never sacrificed for you. But I had a plan. Evidence, documentation, boundaries, and the backbone to enforce them. I had Grandma Ruth's letter, and her video, and her absolute conviction that I deserved this money. And I had myself, the person I'd built despite being neglected, the strength I'd developed through adversity, the knowledge that I could survive on my own because I'd already been doing it for years. They couldn't take that from me. They couldn't take any of it. Because Grandma Ruth had given me more than money. She'd given me the one thing I'd been missing my entire life. Someone who chose me first. And now, I choose me first too. That's the lesson here. Not that money solves everything. It doesn't. Not that cutting off family is always the answer. It depends. But that you deserve to be valued. You deserve to have your achievements recognized. You deserve support and celebration and resources equal to what your siblings receive. And if your family can't give you that, it doesn't mean you're not worthy of it. It means they're not capable of seeing your worth. Find the people who are. Build your life with them. And don't let anyone, family or otherwise, guilt you into accepting less than you deserve. Because you matter. Your achievements matter. Your worth exists independent of whether your family recognizes it. And sometimes, the most important inheritance isn't money. It's knowing someone saw you completely and loved you anyway. That's what Grandma Ruth gave me. That's what I'm building on now. And no one can take that away.